afternoon, one and all. This is vk3sl, and we are gearing up for an afternoon session, Sunday afternoon. And it's not usual to play our theme music on a Sunday, but we've got a special reason for it. And I think we've got you there, Frank.
Yes, good evening, afternoon.
Yes, that's right.
Morning, daytime and nighttime.
That's right. It's all a bit confusing, isn't it, when we play this? Yes, well, look, we had a great evening last night.
I bet you did.
Yeah, it was
Tell me.
It was tremendous. So we just caught up on lots of things. And I actually brought Ken into the studio and we did an interview, and I'm going to play it.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so we sort of, the program was still running. I'd forgotten it was still going when they arrived. They arrived a bit earlier, and so we were able to sort of tag on the very end of the program. And so I've got it logged on YouTube, but I'm going to play it again now, and just for about 10-15 minutes, and we talk about that piece we've just heard, Lucky Strike.
Yeah.
So Ken gives some context to it, and he talks about some of his recent ventures. He's really into bird watching in a big way, and he's writing a lot of music for guitar and trumpet at the moment.
That's really interesting.
It's very interesting. He's so dynamic. He's just doing amazing things at the moment, and he's really on a great career wave with projects and such.
Just noticing one thing, I was listening carefully to that theme.
Yeah.
There's some lovely vibes work going on as well.
Yeah, that's right. There's a guy called Craig Beard. We were talking about that last night. And that was the first time he recorded that song, not long after he wrote it. And he's done about 4 versions since then, and we've played a few of them. And I think what we start off with is the latest version, which is from his recent CD called Frangipani, which came out last year, which is all compositions of Ken's. He's put out about 6 or 7 CDs.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he's been really quite prolific. So we'll play this interview now, Frank, and we'll catch up in about 10-15. So
VK3JR listening.
Okay, I'm VK3SL, and we're just going to refer to an interview with Ken Murray, who I should just quickly give a quick bio. I went through uni with Ken, and he in more recent times he's got himself a professorship at the Conservatorium in guitar studies, so he's very involved in the scene there. And he sees a lot of Henry there because Henry's at the con.
Yeah.
But anyhow, he's doing great things, and a part of their brief at the con is to give concerts and to tour and to perform. And he's just done some marvelous things, especially with South American music. And so anyhow, let's have a listen to Ken in conversation. We start off with another version of the piece you've just heard, Lucky Strike. Okay, folks, this is VK3SL. Just a quick postlude to today's program. I've actually got Ken with me in the studio. Hi there, Ken.
Steve.
Yay, hi. And Ken's and Tracy are over tonight, and we're catching up, social catch-up. But I just thought, since the program is still writing, we'd just have, if it's okay with you, Ken, just a couple of words about Lucky Strike, what we're listening to. This is the theme music for the program over the last 6-7 years. We've been using this. And,
great, thanks, dude.
And I've enjoyed several different versions, and I just thought, it'd be great to hear something about the story there. Yeah. So,
well, thanks for using the piece, and also for noticing the different versions I've made of it. The name of it was inspired by a close encounter with the lightning strike in suburban Melbourne when I was out house hunting, and maybe the strike wasn't as close as I thought it was, but it was one of those sounds and cracks, and also the brightness of the light in the middle of the day.
Sure.
that really almost knocked me off my feet, and I felt like I lost a bit of hearing for an hour or two. Felt like a little bit of shock afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
So it was this real, sort of awe of the power of the lightning strike, and so I felt in some ways lucky that I hadn't been closer to it.
Yes, absolutely. You probably had a few close encounters with lightning on bushwalks as well, Ken.
Exactly, yeah. Some of which I've been on with you and Kate and with Tracy.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, up on the top range, I know a few times when it had been raining and you could see lightning in the distance. It gets a bit concerning.
And there's nowhere to go, really, is there? When you're in the elements like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So so you wrote this back in about 2000?
It's around 2000 and maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And the first version was written to play with Craig Beard on vibraphone.
Yeah, that's the version we typically use. We still use that as a
and that was sort of it was, I guess, meant to be a fast melodic tune, but also something with the inspiration of Brazilian music, basically. And so some of the rhythms and I guess the jazzy sort of sound directly derived from Brazilian guitar styles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very evident. I love the vibe and but it adapts so well. I mean, you did a guitar presentation, I think, on YouTube as well. Was that
maybe a concert in Hong Kong or something.
I think it might have been. We've played that a few times.
So I've played it as a solo in sort of concerts, classical concerts.
Yes.
But also like to bring it out, and collaborate with, percussion or I've played as a flute and guitar version. So sort of arrange it for different occasions. And it's, I guess it's probably one of my, the pieces that I've written that's been played the most by me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's great, Ken. Oh, it's nice to get a bit of an insight into it. It's something that's we're all really familiar with, and I just think it's a fantastic piece. I love the way it rollicks along. But so it was about a lightning strike. That's brilliant.
A close encounter with a lightning strike.
with lightning.
And you realise that if you're in the wrong place at that time, there's really nothing you can do.
No,
the power is just
it is.
incredible.
It's phenomenal. It's just you and the elements, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's totally the case.
Sort of awe-inspiring in a way. So I may have, probably one of those cases where I'd been working on the idea of the piece. Yeah. And then the title came to me. Yeah, sure. Due to that incident.
Oh, very good. Excellent. Oh, well, thank you for that. Well, we'll have to catch up on air sometime. I can bring you in via Zoom or Skype in the future if you're around, and be good to hear about your latest venture too, which is doing a lot of bird watching and
pieces inspired by birds.
Yes, and music inspired by bird calls and
yes.
Yeah, and you were saying before music for trumpet and...
I've been doing some pieces with trumpet and guitar. Yep. Often when pieces are written inspired by birdsong, you'll find it's violin or flute or piccolo playing the bird-inspired things.
It's so true.
So I was really interested to work with trumpet because they have a lot of... timbral variety available with mutes. Yes. And also different size trumpets. Yes. So we've been exploring a lot of, piccolo trumpet, various fantastic. Mutes. And that's been a really interesting way to sort of conjure up the timbre.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's a unique way to do it. I think it's fantastic. So have you been writing for like flugelhorns and other types of...
We haven't done as much flugelhorn on this one because we have played together a lot in the past. Yeah. And, often Joel, who I play with, goes to the flugelhorn for a really warm sound. Yeah. He's often mucking around with the different keyed trumpets, C, D, B flat, depending on the keys. But the piccolo trumpet in particular was good. There's a movement called the olive-backed sunbird. Oh, yeah. Which is a, very sort of colourful and... active bird up in Queensland, North Queensland, and so the piccolo was perfect for imitating some of the sounds of that. Okay. But of course, when we get to the Teresian crow, sort of plunger mute. Okay. It's really effective.
I love it. Well, it was all sort of like vocal sounds and trumpets were all the go in the early days. You got those jazz musicians who did lots of sort of almost vocalising with mutes, the plunger mutes and such. Yeah, it had a real sort of, almost a vocal type character. Yep. But it sounds great. What a great project. Fun. So be inspired by nature in that way. So how do you work? Do you just sort of take notes when you're listening to bird calls, or do you? How does it sort of evolve for you?
It depends. I mean, we had a month away travelling Queensland. So, you know, we were just out most days and doing walks and listening to birds, and I'd do some recordings.
Yeah.
And then when we come back at night, I'd sort of come up with some ideas based around the birds, sometimes based around their characters or just my impressions as well.
Yep.
You know, so I was just playing around with sketches, really.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got back that the pieces took shape a bit more.
Yep. Sure.
But then I also was writing for a guitarist from Adelaide. He'd asked me to write 3 pieces, actually inspired by different Brazilian composers who I was familiar with.
Yep.
But because we were looking at birds, they ended up having titles of different birds that we'd seen. So
Sure.
it's maybe slightly less direct reference.
Yeah.
But one of the pieces he was inspired by, wanted me to reference, was this piece called Graúna, which means blackbird.
Okay.
Which is a 1920s piece by João Pernambuco, a great Brazilian guitarist.
Okay.
So he was calling pieces after
Wow.
birds back
So
then.
back in the day.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
How about that?
So it's a Brazilian blackbird from the 20s.
Yeah, well, there you go. So this is a time-honoured tradition.
Absolutely.
Drawing
Absolutely.
inspiration. I mean, composers
Yeah.
have done it for years. Messiaen made a big thing of it, and
Yeah, of course.
and
Yeah.
Debussy, of course, and there's age-old.
Beethoven.
Yeah, even Beethoven. That's
Yeah.
true. That's so true. Yeah.
I think it's interesting to
Nature
think
inspires.
about the different ways you can use it. You know, there's you can use the literal quoting of the calls. You can look at the characters of the birds. You can take the calls as more just sort of like raw material
Yep.
for scales and notes and things.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking with the trumpet and guitar pieces, it will sort of weave in some of the recordings that I made on my phone between the movements.
Oh, really? Okay. So
So-
you'll have some raw material. Okay.
And
Fabulous.
to me, it was nice. I think it would be good to use the actual recordings I made.
Yep.
And we'll do also sort of an overture, an introductory movement
Yeah.
that puts all of the calls together
Yep.
with a bit of playing over the top
Oh,
of that.
fabulous. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Can't wait to hear that. That'll be really
be fun.
good. Yay. Well, you have to come back and tell us more about it.
Yeah,
I think
once
it's
it's
a marvellous project, yes. Well, it's good to hear about the twitching. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Bird
Yeah,
watching,
yeah,
twitching.
yeah,
But as we were saying before, it's really about the way it draws you into the nature, I think. And
deep listening and slowing
yeah.
down and just being connected with the seasons and all of the subtle sort of time and place stuff, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marvellous.
It's great.
Good one. Thank you, Ken. I
Yeah, pleasure.
appreciate that, mate.
Thanks,
It's
Steve.
really good to catch up.
All right.
And we'll go back inside now. But just wanted to touch base, and I'll play this on a future program so we can,
great.
and then we'll maybe hear some of bring in some tracks. And,
Yes, well, they'll be recorded later this year, so
Yeah.
definitely
it'd
pass
be-
those on when they're
Oh,
done.
that'd be terrific. Thank you so much.
Right,
Alrighty.
thanks,
Well,
Steve.
no worries at all. We'll finish up with we'll just play Lucky Strike again.
All right,
We'll
great.
have another another innings, and we'll follow on. We've got your CD Frangipani, of course,
Ah,
as well.
great.
So yeah,
Thank you.
that was the latest.
Yeah.
And Lucky Strike is number 12 on here. Marvellous.
Right.
Thanks so much, Ken.
Thanks,
Catch
Steve.
you soon. Cheers
See
for
ya.
now. Lucky Strike from the recent album Frangipani, produced by Ken last year, Lyrebird Productions, and courtesy of University of Melbourne as well. So great to hear Ken explaining his latest projects and have him as a a displaced guest on the program. It'd be great to bring him in for a extended chat some stage too. But there we have it, Lucky Strike. And it's from the album Frangipani. Now, I might play one or two tracks from this album. I've got it queued up. It's ready to go. We can play the title track. It's called Test and Tag. Now, what does he say about this? Test and Tag, he said he first three tracks all written during the 2020 lockdown, and Test and Tag in Shanghai, named after the colloquial Australian term for a slingshot. Okay, two tracks. Well, maybe we'll play them both. Test and Tag and Shanghai, first two tracks on this album, Frangipani by Ken Murray. I'm vk3sl, and we are testing. Track called Shanghai, performed by Ken Murray on the guitar, written and performed. And yeah, what other information about that one? Yes, colloquial Australian term for slingshot. Yes. There we have it. So yeah, celebrating Ken's music with a bit of an interview and some examples. We might move on to our 20s hit and such, see where the tide takes us. I've got the channel open there, Frank, if you're around. I'm not sure if you might be a busy man doing other things, but we have a 78 queued up here. Well, sort of queued. It's an interesting one. This is a newbie. Electrically recorded. What's the label? Worth something. Yeah, Worth, I think it is. All by Yourself in the Moonlight. Art Carroll and his band, made in Australia. I think it's one of those dime store discs, maybe from an Australian store, perhaps. Woolworths, maybe. Not sure. I have not got any other information. I've never seen this label. It's an unusual disc. It's from the 20s. And we should play it. I'd say it's derives from an overseas master, which is often the case with these discs. But it'll be interesting to hear. So here we go. Back to 1920 Mumble.
There ain't no sense sitting on a fence all by yourself in the moonlight. There ain't no thrill by the watermill all by yourself in the moonlight. There ain't no fun sitting beneath the trees giving yourself a hug or giving yourself a squeeze. It's insane swinging down the lane all by yourself in the moonlight. It sure is droll going for a stroll all by yourself in the moonlight. You can't tell lies to the fireflies all by yourself in the moonlight. There ain't no kick taking an auto ride on a country road and nobody at your side. And it ain't no treat in a rumble seat all by yourself in the moonlight.
Oh, we just made it to the end of the disc. Just made it. That's a very well-worn record, well loved.
It's an old tune.
It certainly is. It's that's one of those sort of cheapy records you would have picked up at McEwen's or Woolworths or such.
I had to disappear just at the end of the interview. I'm sorry, Patrick just arrived.
No worries at all. Well, look, I'll probably play it again next Friday night because I think anyone who listens to the Friday night program would probably enjoy hearing that.
I'm sure they would. It was most interesting.
Yeah, in the context of that. But it was really great to have Ken with us, and we had a fabulous night. We caught up on lots of ground. It's been ages. I saw him fairly recently. I went to one of his concerts. He gives recitals regularly, and he did a recital with a cellist at the con only about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was absolutely amazing. I mean, he's a really outstanding performer.
Does he have a number of guitars? I suppose he does.
Oh, I think he does, and he does an enormous amount of playing and a lot of composing as well.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? And for other instruments, that's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyhow, that was it was really good to catch up, and I hope there'll be a lot more. And Yeah, he's been more than aware that we do what we do, and he was taking photos in the booth here, and it was really good, good fun. And then we came in and listened to a couple of tapes of ABC bloopers later in the evening, which was also fun.
Excellent. It might be good to feature some of his other music, perhaps, on the missions.
Oh, look, I think so. I think I'll try and make a go of it, and I really should make more of an effort to bring people in on Skype if they're available too. Now we're starting a little bit earlier, but I'll look at that possibility as well.
Yeah, perhaps even Jamie.
Yeah, it'd be just amazing. It'd be great to have Jamie with us.
So even Jamie, I mean,
yeah,
he might be a good candidate.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And he's probably used to using Skype as well.
Oh, he would be.
Or Zoom.
Or
Zoom.
both.
Yeah, whatever the preferred platform is. But it all works, and we used to use it very successfully earlier on. So, yeah, there's all sorts of prospects about having guests on. Yeah, so... That was rather special, and I've just been resting for most of the day because I'm still trying to recover from the...
Oh, yes. How are you feeling?
Yeah, look, I'm not too bad. I've had headaches continuously, which is just a nuisance.
It's worse than a nuisance. It's a worry.
It's just a concern. Yeah, look, I've been checked. I've had a CT scan. I've had all those things, and, you know, it'll be fine. But it's just one of those things that has taken longer to sort of find its... to get beyond it it took longer than I expected, to be honest.
Yeah,
but anyhow, yes, don't walk into a bus.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge Mr. Fleming wrote me a very kind email, sent it through this afternoon. I haven't had a chance to reply, but thanks, John, for your thoughts. And yeah, it's just one of those things that'll we'll be back. I'll be back at work tomorrow. I'm determined just to get back on the horse.
Yeah, okay.
But yes, you got to watch out for head injuries, concussion.
Often they prescribe a rest, after you've had it.
Well, you've got to be very careful because one of the things that got them really worried was that I was desperate to go to sleep shortly after hitting my head.
Okay.
So I was knocked out, and then I recovered, and then I just had this unbelievable fatigue. And apparently it's a really dangerous thing to go to sleep after you've had concussion.
Is that so?
Immediately after, because I think some people don't wake up.
Right, so more.
Yeah, so I think that was something they wanted to keep me awake.
Yeah.
And that's what sort of, I had the scan and all of that. No, and it was fine. It wasn't an issue. But yes, I've never felt fatigue like it. It was just incredible. So, I just was desperate to sleep.
Yeah.
And anyhow.
Oh, well.
These things happen, but we're beyond it now, and we're ready for another 20s hits. I've got a recording here that popped up online, and I sampled it, and I have to play it because it's sprightly, and it's 20s-ish, and it's got all of the character of that decade. And it's a recording of Johnny Hamp's Kentucky Serenaders from 1927. Name of the tune is Oh, Look at That Baby. I'm vk3sl.
And vk3jr.
baby belongs to me. Oh, look at that baby, say ain't she nice? One look at that baby, and you look fine. She's got that certain thing, that certain swing when she walks. I'll bet the birdies sing most every time she talks. Oh, look at that baby, ain't she divine? I'm wishing that baby were only mine.
Go. That was Johnny Hamp's Kentucky Serenaders from 1927. And I have to say, I reckon they were stealing the tune from Dinah.
Definitely. There was a lot of Dinah in there.
There was a huge amount. I reckon it was basically it was paraphrased for about half the song. So yes, they were starting close to the edge with that one, but they got away with it evidently. But back in the day, but I like that song. It's just got lots of verve and it captures the spirit of the times. All of that.
Real 20s.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Now, it's been a really interesting upload, and it's been hard to sort of fully grasp because. A long story. Mr. Prozert, huge, big American collector with pristine copies of everything, does impeccable transfers. He puts stuff up fairly regularly, and usually people put timestamps on his recordings because he'll put up like an anthology of about 1 hour of music, and it's very hard to find the spots, but people come in and actually delineate it. But this latest offering, no one's done that, and not at this point in time. So it's been very hard to sort of get into and work out what's what and where it is and who's on what. And yes, you know all of that.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah, and but look, it's very, very significant upload because it's an hour and a half of Irving Mills and his Hotsy Totsy Gang recordings.
Oh, okay.
Now, Irving Mills was the big music publisher, promoter, manager. He managed Duke Ellington's band and a lot of black bands. He was the big cheese, really. He had enormous influence in the late 20s as an ambassador, and he wrote a lot of music. He actually sang a lot of the records as well. The interesting, he was born in Ukraine in 1894, and he lived right until contemporary times, lived right until 1985.
Oh.
But yeah, look, so a lot of Ellington's success was early days. The Cotton Club era was to do with Irving Mills' promotion, but he also did tend to patronise the black bands a bit. But that's another story. But yeah, he also ran recording sessions with white musicians, and sadly, I think he encouraged them to work together, but they weren't able to record together or perform together. But so he arranged quite a number of sessions between 1928 and 1930. And the group was called Irving Mills and his Hotsy Totsy Gang. And they featured Bix. The Bix's last recordings are with Irving Mills and early Benny Goodman, Ben Pollack, Glenn Miller, the Dorsey brothers. They all got a Guernsey. Gene Krupa was discovered by. I mean, it was just. It's a who's who of the top musicians who were burgeoning in the late 20s and went on to make huge impact in the later decades. Irving Mills was the one who brought them together and sort of got them the contracts and the support.
Yeah.
So it's been long waiting. I mean, these recordings have all been there, but they've been poor transfers and hard to access. The other artist he promoted was Hoagy Carmichael.
Oh, boy.
He basically put Hoagy Carmichael on the map. I mean, he had the money and he had the resources, and he was able to really use his influence to get the airplay and all of the
good
necessary
talent
things.
spotter, obviously.
Oh, very much so. So yeah, this it deserves more than one program really to sort of tease it out. But his most important contribution is really discovering Duke Ellington, and
it doesn't get much bigger than
it doesn't. Well, he was, because it would have been very, very hard for Duke Ellington to get anywhere on his own in the bigger. I think Duke Ellington was able to stand on his own 2 feet, more than stand on his own 2 feet with musically. But
you just need somebody to give you an opportunity.
Exactly, you needed agents, and you needed the sort of the machine behind it all to sort of get airplay and get the big contracts. And I think Irving Mills knew the right gangsters and the right clubs, and he was very well connected. It's a fascinating story, really.
Well, Hoagie Carmichael and the Duke are not a bad double.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a number of absolutely fascinating recordings here, and some of Hoagie Carmichael, which I'd never heard, very early, and all of Bix's late sessions, including an outtake which I'd never heard before, which has just blown my socks off. In fact, it's the very last recording Bix ever made, and I knew another take of it, which isn't very good, and this take is far, far better. So we'll play that later on, but look, I will start off with a recording of... Oh, God, I don't know which is which now. I've got them all lined up here because I was trying to be organised here. I think this is Futuristic Rhythm. Yes, this was a song made famous by, I think it was Frankie Chumbo had something to do with it. But in this instance, it's played by a scratch ensemble of top jazz musicians. And it's just a fabulous tune and well worth a listen. So we'll play Futuristic Rhythm. We're hearing Irving Mills and his Hotsy Totsy Gang in 1928.
Futuristic rhythm, never on the beat. In an eardrum, in my eardrum, blows me off my seat. You're the unexpected, disconnected time. Let me drink in, sleep and think in futuristic rhyme. Must you blow that ba-da-da, ba-da-da all night through? When you know that ba-da-da, ba-da-da makes me goofy. Futuristic rhythm, dance until I drop. Never tire, I'm a fire, don't you ever stop.
heard Irving Mills and his Hotsy Totsy Gang, and from 1928, a track called Futuristic Rhythm.
Yeah.
That was a fabulous arrangement, very well played.
Oh, yeah.
Top line musicians. And I'll just reference now the recording that Frankie Trumbauer made with Bix around the same time. Interesting to compare the two performances, and this has got this fabulous big solo at the end. It's marvelous stuff. So this here again, the same tune, and from a different set of musicians recorded in New York at the same time.
Futuristic rhythm, never on a beat. Any eardrum in my eardrum blows me off my seat. You're the unexpected, disconnected time. Let me drink in sleep and think in futuristic rhyme. Must you blow that dum boom boom dun dun all night through? When you know that dun dun dee doo bum bum makes me goofy. Futuristic rhythm, dance until I drop. Ever tired, I'm a fire, don't you ever stop.
There we have it. That was Futuristic Rhythm with Frank Trumbauer and his orchestra there, and Frankie Trumbauer did the vocals on that as well, and featuring just one of the great big solos. Although he splits a few notes, it doesn't matter in the least. It's just adventurous and forward-thinking and interesting, as all his solos are. So yeah, I wanted an excuse to play that record, and I was able to piggyback those two performances.
Yeah.
Yay! So moving on to more performances of the Hotsy Totsy Gang again. Now these are the interesting ones featuring Hoagie Carmichael. Both his own compositions. First one is called Harvey, and yeah, it's such an interesting song. It's just so amazing, left of field, imaginative lyrics, concept, everything about it. It's really quite out there. So see what you think. Harvey is the name of the tune, recorded with Irving Mills Band in 1929.
Harvey's a poor boy, but Harvey's a pure boy. The girls all like Harvey, he's such a nice boy. Harvey's a swell boy, he's really a swell fella. The old folks love Harvey, he's their only boy. But if you could see how he acts when the people all turn their back, always tight in a fight, shooting craps around all night. But Harvey's a sweet boy, he sure is a neat fellow. We dearly love Harvey, he's our pride and joy.
There we go. An early, very early Hoagie Carmichael track from September 1929.
Is that him singing?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's on the list there. He's singing in falsetto for the first part, and then he goes to his normal voice in the second.
Yeah, I know, but his normal voice then was so different to his older voice.
Yeah, he's pretty young on this. But, and interestingly, that record features a teenage Manny Klein playing trumpet. Bix was supposed to be on these discs, but he was convalescing in the latter part of 1929. He had a breakdown, and so he was out of action.
Yeah.
But the lineup is Manny Klein, Leo McConville on trumpets, Miff Mole on the trombone. You can tell Miff Mole's playing.
Miff,
Yeah, Jimmy Dorsey, Arnold Brillhart, clarinet, alto sax, Pee Wee Russell, clarinet, Hoagie Carmichael, piano and vocals, Joe Tardo, brass bass, and Chauncey Morehouse on the drums and vibraphonics. So, yeah, that was Irving Mills and his Hotsy Totsy gang, that's the name of the band. But, with Hoagie Carmichael, which is hugely significant. I knew of these early Hoagie tracks, but I hadn't heard them before. This is right at the start for him.
You know, Hoagie was a lawyer?
Yes, he was. He studied law. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't know whether he practiced.
I have to investigate that because I think he may have maintained the interest in it. Yeah.
He had some interest.
He was one of these people who was quite sort of connected intellectually. He was quite fascinated by literary sort of pursuits. And I think he wrote and yeah.
Remember somebody challenged or somebody accused him of copying someone's style.
Right.
And he got very agitated about this.
Did he?
And said he was going to sue them. And I heard this in an interview with him.
Oh, okay. How interesting is that? Yeah. Well, the great thing about Hoagie is he lived into sort of more contemporary times, and so he had sort of different. He was able to bring to the fore the some of those earlier compositions and let them sort of evolve through different generations of musicians.
Did some very funny novelty tracks in his later years.
Yes, that's right, exactly. Yeah, he did. But there's another one coming up. But before playing that, I just want to, because I haven't got easy access to the timestamps on these, I'll play the next one on the list, which is a track called March of the Hoodlums. It's from the same session, same musicians, but it's just brilliant. I don't think Hoagie's singing on this, but I think he's probably playing piano. But it's just so well played. It's just these are outstanding musicians.
Who wrote it, do you know?
I'm not sure who wrote it, to be honest. There's no information about that. But let's have a listen to March of the Hoodlums. that was, March of the Hoodlums, and it was indeed a Hoagie Carmichael composition too,
Right.
Frank. Yeah, I just checked on that, and yes, he wrote the song, and it's the same lineup as before, just a star-studded lineup, and these musicians are rollicking. And yeah, great stuff. I love Jimmy Dorsey's clarinet solo there. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's rather special. Well, we'll move on and hear some more Hoagie Carmichael.
Yeah.
This is another one of his compositions where he sings and plays with the same lineup. A couple of small differences. We have Babe Russell on tenor sax, and Gene Krupa joins the fray, a very young
Very young.
Yeah, Gene Krupa. And this one will be really good. If I can find it. Yes, here it is, ready to zip. It's the name of this song is High and Dry.
I got the dough to shoot, a root toot tootin', a brand new suit to boot, and boy, that is the reason I'm high and dry. Got Broadway spats and lots of hi-hats. My billbook's fat and boy, tell me ain't that a reason I'm high and dry. I've saved up all my money, and no fear of a rainy day. I lots of loving from my honey, chasing the blues away. Oh, well, I'm right in style with a big white smile. I got the dough to show, and boy, you know the reason I'm high and dry.
Right, there we have it. That's, yes, Irving Mills and his Hotsy Totsy gang with Hoagie Carmichael and yes, on vocal, and he composed the song. And yes, he's a young guy. This is before his voice dropped, and he sort of developed his characteristic laconic sort of style. Yeah, it's fascinating though to hear these records. It's high octane music, and the instrumentalist that really shines in my mind is Manny Klein playing the trumpet. Now,
Yeah, he's out there, isn't he?
he's so good. He's young. He's about 20, and he he stepped in. And he was a bit of an unknown, and when Bix he was sort of the premier trumpet cornet player and did all this type of session work with these very musicians often. And when he was indisposed in 1929, the story is that Manny Klein just stood in and as a virtual unknown and just really proved his worth. And it's excellent trumpet playing. It's just really right on the front foot and dynamic and interesting, and And so, yeah, great story there. It's prompted me to perhaps investigate his music a bit more for future. Because he lived on. He didn't die until the 1990s. And he was playing right up to the end. He was really involved in a lot of the big Hollywood groups in the 50s and 60s.
A long career.
Yeah, huge career. Manny Klein. So there we go. That was at the very beginning. But the next track is another Carmichael song. It's great that Irving Mills really promoted Hoagie Carmichael, and this would have to be the very first recording of Stardust.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it's a bit upbeat. It's up-tempo, isn't it?
I think it is, and I don't think it's got vocals at this stage. So, yeah, have a listen. Stardust with the composer at the piano there. And yeah, interesting concept. It's fascinating to hear this music in its first incarnation before
I wonder if he hadn't written the lyrics by then.
I wonder about that, because the early versions don't have lyrics. They sort of came along later. So
It's a lovely lyric, isn't it?
it is beautiful lyric. It's just amazing. But it's fascinating. These songs, you hear this often with Gershwin's music too.
Yes.
It's very choppy and fast in its sort of inception. And
Then his brother wrote a lovely lyric for it, and it slowed the tempo down.
Yeah, that's right.
It became an evergreen.
Exactly. It sort of it has a different identity after it sort of reforms. But that's the wonderful thing about a great tune, isn't it? It's forever adaptable.
So adaptable.
But
of course, we know that with Bach, he was the master. Wasn't
yes, he certainly was. Absolutely. And I think, but that's got some really fascinating attributes too, hearing Stardust played like that. I love the section solos on that recording.
Yes, they were most interesting.
They were, and it's it's a totally different vibe. It's the same song in a completely different guise. So yeah, fascinating stuff. Lots of Hoagy Carmichael in this compendium. It's
most interesting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Here's another one. I'll play one more. It's Manhattan Rag, recorded in 1929. Same set of musicians, but Hoagie's really been at this point. He's being embraced and given the field. So more Hoagie, the more Hoagie the better, I think.
Indeed.
Fascinating arrangement of another great composition of Hoagy Carmichael. It's Manhattan Rag. Yeah, I love the inventiveness, the sophistication of these arrangements. It's beguiling. It's wonderful. I can't help but play one more. Frank.
Oh, no, keep going.
They're just terrific. This one is a track called Barbaric. And another very early Hoagy Carmichael song, and there's some great comments. A few people have chimed in with some reflections on this, and I didn't realise, but Tommy Dorsey is also playing on this track, and it says here one person enjoys the back and forth of Tommy Dorsey's trombone with the muted trumpet of Manny Klein. Look forward to hearing that. And it says here, the slower section of this Hoagie Carmichael piece became later on, quote, In the Still of the Night, with lyrics by Joe Trent. So that had another incarnation. And the fast theme is an intelligent elaboration of Ellington's jungle music, a dizzy montage of dancing and skyscrapers, and the slow theme is a deco picture of harvest moons glinting on the muddy Indiana rivers. How poetic.
Indeed.
Well, there we go. Something to think about while we listen to Barbaric. Irving Mills, who doesn't actually feature on any of these records at all. He just sat there and probably in the control booth and was happy to have his name on the label.
Yes, lucky to get it there.
Yes. But,
No, he'd organised.
yes, he did. So, here we go. Barbaric, Hoagie Carmichael. Okay, there we have a fascinating record. Barbaric is the name of the tune. And early Hoagie Carmichael, I've been just sort of riffing through the wiki page on Mr. C. And yeah, he lived until 1981. Oh my goodness me, what a life. Mainly involved with music. He had an extended association with Bix. I didn't realise that going back to 1922. So before Bix recorded, they knew each other. Although he sort of plays that down on the interviews. I remember him saying that that he felt that they worked more in, it was less of a personal association.
Yes, that's right.
But it says he composed several hundred songs, including 50 that achieved hit record status.
Boy.
Isn't that amazing?
He's incredible.
Yeah, and so he started off in the period 1924 to 29. They're the recordings we've just heard, and it just goes on and on. And
This the storm activity is getting pretty close here.
Is it? Okay.
It's taking you out a fair bit of the time, actually.
Oh, really? I noticed that there was a bit of, there were a few cells coming this way.
It knocks the AGC down, and it's on a slow recovery. And
Okay.
but I'll hang in there. I'm
Yeah,
okay for the
we'll keep
moment.
an eye on things there. Thank you for that. Yes, he lost a lot of money in the stock market crash.
All right.
Yeah, but it says here, fortunately, Louis Armstrong had recorded Rocking Chair in 1929, giving Carmichael a badly needed financial and career boost.
Right.
Goodness me! So he sort of was, going during the stock market, during the depression. He was, he struggled quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, we'll have to do another program on him. But, interesting to hear these early records. Now, here we have a little more, some recordings, the very, very last session that Bix played in before he just went completely ape and for the last 10 months of his life, he was just paralytic. But it's so sad. But there's two recordings here which are really worth listening to. One's called Deep Harlem, which it's got some marvelous work, trumpet work, and then the next one is called Loved One. Now this is another take of that song. The take that I'm familiar with is Bix's bit lackluster, but this one is much better. And so I'll play these two recordings back to back, the two very last recordings that Bix made, and it features more or less the same set of musicians. It's recorded in 1930, and I think Benny Goodman's on them, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Gene Krupa as well. So you think of the association those two musicians had later on. It's astonishing, really. So, anyhow, and I think Hoagie Carmichael's involved and Irving Mills is funding the whole thing. So, here we go, back to 1930, two tracks. Okay, that was it. That was the last record that Bix ever made in 1930. And just fabulous solos all around. And I think that's Jack Teagarden playing the trombone on that record as well. And yeah, fitting end to our little expose of Irving Mills. His real name was Irving Minsky. An interesting story. And yeah, if you feel inclined, look him up. Irving Mills. He was the big manager, big kid on the block who gave all these musicians work at a time when there wasn't a lot of work around. So yeah, rather special. We'll play some more from this because there's some Charlie and Jack Teagarden tracks at the end which are really worth hearing. But we'll save them up for a rainy day. Well, it's a rainy night now, but I'm going to have to wind up operations. So, Frank, you may be busy. I know that you got family there, so it's not. You may not be able to pick up. But I'll do a ride out with some more Hoagie. I played this not that long ago, but I'm going to play it again. It's called the Hoagie Carmichael Suite, and it features Robert Farnan and his orchestra with the Johnson Singers. Recording made in the 1950s, I think. I just want to make sure I've got the right side. I think I do. So we'll finish with this today, and we should be back next week. I'm expecting that everything will be okay next week, and we'll do more missions. So, and I know Frank's probably, there's a bit of lightning around as well. So I think we'll just let this ride, and I'll get out of the room. So thanks, folks. Thank you for listening in and being a part of it. It's been an enjoyable sesh and always fun to discover new music. Heavy rain, my goodness me. Really heavy rain. Wow, cats and dogs. All right, so here we go. The Robert Farnan's, Johnson Singers. Now, have I got the right turntable switched in? That's always the question here. Are we set, ready to go? I think so, and I'll thank you all, and we'll be back again next Friday for more missions. I'm vk3sl. Cheers for now.
You touch my fingertips, and my heart is aglow. You bend to kiss my lips, and I can't let you go. Maybe I should resist, I'm a fool, I know. But at a time like this, my resistance is low. Eyes have magic, they seem to say, come closer, my darling, come closer, and somehow I can't break away. Can't you see that I want to be adored more than you'll ever know? I'm going overboard with a capital O. So don't be persistent, please keep your distance, you know my resistance is low. They seem to say, come closer, my darling, come closer, and somehow I can't break away. Can't you see that I want to be adored more than you'll ever know? I'm going overboard with a capital O. So don't be persistent,
Baby, keep your distance, you know my resistance is low.
listening to a test transmission from vk3sl. You're hearing the music of Hoagie Carmichael with the Johnson Singers with Robert Farman and his orchestra.
the fish would grab at your line. Lazy bones open through the day. I expect to make a dime that way. Never make a dime that way. He never heard a word we say. Just a good for nothing lazy bone, loafing through the day. How you expect to make a dime that way? Never make a dime that way. Hey, looky here. He never heard a word we say.
You've been listening to a test transmission from vk3sl. That's it, folks. Storm's departing now, but we'll need to also finish up for this week. We'll be back again next Friday. Have a wonderful week, peoples. I look forward to your company then. Cheerio.